Hey, everybody! Welcome to Sunday with Silvers. Great to see you here. Ha ha ha. Another episode. I guess that's what we can call them, episodes. Another chance to share. Another chance to be there. Another chance to be aware. Yeah, it's great to have you here. I'm just looking at myself here trying to make sure everything's working, and it looks like it is. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm here every week on Sunday for Sunday with Silvers. I'm John Silvers. I'm a singer songwriter. I am a poet who didn't know it, although I do know it now. And yeah, I'm just here to have some fun, share some stories, share some good times, figure out this whole Zoom world or whatever you want to call it. There I am. Okay, cool. So I'm seeing myself. I'm seeing you. I'm seeing my Prince shirt. Hope you like Prince. I love Prince. Miss Prince. And I am a musician, although I can't necessarily say that I play the same kind of music that Prince did, except that Prince liked people who really or liked music that was real, that was being actually played by human beings and not just some machine playing some music. So that for that much I can say I am like Prince. Some people actually used to say I looked like him. I did a long, long time ago. I did an impression of him when I was in theater school, and yeah, I watched the Purple Rain movie, and I actually grew out my mustache and beard for it because he had that facial hair. And I put on one of my mom's wigs and I turned it backwards so that all the hair was all wild. And I put on this robe that my dad had bought me from. It was a Persian prince's robe. It was beautiful. It was blue velvet with all kinds of gold sequins on it and everything, and it was just it was beautiful and had embroidery and everything. And I got some lace gloves and put on some boots that came up to my knees. And I watched the whole version of Darling Nikki on the whole video. Well, I watched that portion of it on the Purple Rain sound movie, the video of it, and I got all of his moves down. And what I did was I lip synced the verses, and then when it got to the choruses, I turned up the music. No, I'm sorry. I sang the verses because there was very little music underneath the verses. If you know that song, Darling Nikki, and and I lip synced the choruses because the music came in. So he did all that screaming and singing the chorus part. So I lip synced the chorus, but I sang the verses. And yeah, it was a blast. That's when my mustache and beard would grow in darker. Now, 40 years later, it still grows in, which is nice. It just grows in. I don't know. They say salt and pepper, but to me, it looks pretty salt. I don't see a lot of pepper in there, at least not in my beard. Still have some salt, still have some pepper in my hair. And so I'm growing this out, not necessarily because I think I look better with it, but because I get a lot more auditions for acting when I have this little bit of scruff on my face. I guess it makes me look distinguished. So they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll bring him in to play the old guy. Little do they know that my spirit is young, and I guess I can play the older people too, but my spirit is pretty young, as if you haven't been able to tell. In fact, you know what? I always say this: it's never too late, never too late, da 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 da. Never too late to be great. Well, it's never too late, never too late, da 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 da. Never too late to be great. Well, it's never too late. Never too late to be great. If you're in need of healing, it's never too late. No. You want more love to be revealing. Oh, it's never too late. You want to get back that old feeling. It's never too late. No, it's never too late. Cause it's never too late, never too late. Never too late to be great. Well, it's never too late, never too late, never too late. Never too late to be great. Well, it's never too late. Never too late to be great. And the crowd goes wild. No, I mean it. It's never too late. If somebody told you, oh, well, your chance has passed you by on that one. I was watching something on Don Cornelius today. If you know, familiar with Don Cornelius, if you were around back in the 70s, you couldn't have missed him. He had this deep voice. I'm Don Cornelius, and welcome to Soul Train. And he was a bad dude. He was from, apparently, I think they said he was from the south side of Chicago. I was reading a little bit about him today. You know, sometimes you can go down the rabbit hole with the whole looking at your phone, and you start there. You just want to get a recipe for, I don't know, apple pie or whatever, and you go on your phone and you look at it and you find a recipe, and then you see something and you're like, what's that? And then an hour later you're like, you've watched people get gored by bulls. You've watched people scare each other and all kinds of stuff. People jumping off of stuff into the water, and you're like, oh man, and you realize you just wasted an hour of your life. But I don't know if you do that. I wish I could say I didn't, but every once in a while, it's like I see something. I'm like, oh, not actually. It's a little more than every once in a while, if I'm being honest. But anyway, the point is that what is the point? Oh, you also stumble across stuff sometimes that is kind of enriching and gives you some information you might not have had otherwise. And I ran, and actually tonight I got invited to go to a toy drive. And I was thinking the other day, I really want to go to a holiday party because I bought this holiday clothes. I'll wear it next Sunday so you can see, because it's not quite Christmas yet. But I got some wild Christmas stuff. Last night I went to play at a club with my dear friend Faith and her buddy Tom, who have a little gig that they play a couple times a month, and they asked me to come down and play. And I wore a jacket. I wonder if I have that jacket. I might have shown it to you last week. It's a green jacket, and it lights up. It looks like, it's got Christmas ornaments and stuff on it. And I wore it last night. So I like getting into some crazy clothes if I can. And why am I saying this? I have no idea. I'm all over the place. But I'll tell you this. I got invited tonight. Oh, because I want to wear this Christmas outfit tonight if I can. But it's kind of, it's very fancy schmancy. And I don't know if the event is that fancy schmancy. But I got invited to a toy drive because I said, hey, I want to, that's right. I was saying I want to get invited to a Christmas thing. I think ever since COVID, I don't know. I've just always kind of felt like we got stuck on these computers, and obviously that's where I am now. So I'm not putting it down. I'm getting a chance to talk to all of you folks, which I'm grateful for and happy to do it. I've just been craving, especially dancing. I love to dance. I've always loved to dance. I'll tell you a story about that in a little bit. But I got invited to something really cool tonight. I'm thinking it's going to be cool. It's a toy drive in Inglewood, California, and it's for the Soul Train alumni. So I have no idea who's going to be there. I was just invited by a good friend who maybe was one of the Soul Train dancers. I don't know, but if you know Soul Train at all, Don Cornelius, let me go all the way back to what I started talking about. Don Cornelius, I learned about him a little bit today, and he started Soul Train, which, if you don't know, was one of the most popular television shows. Came on Saturday morning in the 70s, all the way through to about 2006, and it was where you could hear black musicians play, sometimes live, which was great, or otherwise they'd be lip syncing, which was just okay. But you'd get to see the dancing of these young people, the young black folks that were on the show, mainly black. There were some white people on there too, maybe some Hispanic, I'm not sure, but it was mainly a black show. And you got to see. It was funny because I was hearing them talk about it, and they were like, "Yeah, this was an opportunity for, uh, you know, black people to show other people how to dance." So I don't know. Maybe white America was still watching an American Bandstand. When I was a kid, there were really just two kinds of dancing. There was funky dancing, or funk dancing, which I'm not going to demonstrate right now. But there was dancing. I grew up where a lot of Chicanos and the Cholos used to dance like this. That was their dance, and I thought, wow, okay, that's pretty easy. I think they just wanted to. They didn't want to look too outrageous. They didn't want to turn too many heads on the dance floor. But anyway, Don Cornelius was he was a cop. He was I guess or like a traffic cop or something, and they told him that he was crazy because he went and got into broadcasting school because he always had this great voice. And he got the idea. He got himself a job in broadcasting, a low-paying job, but he was on TV, and he got this idea to do Soul Train and have these artists, the greatest artists, all the artists that were hip at the time. Everybody from Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, Al Green, you name it, they all went on there. And they got to showcase themselves in a platform that wasn't really always available to them everywhere else. And you got to see all these young dancers. And then you obviously have the Soul Train line, which they still do today. If you go to a wedding or a party, the Soul Train line is still something that exists, where people stand on two sides, and then whoever's courageous enough to dance down the middle, which sometimes it's hard to find somebody courageous enough to do it these days. But if if everybody's drunk enough or having enough fun, I guess then they when you get to your turn, the two people meet each other in the center, and they dance down the middle of the thing and give it their best shot, and everybody, all right. So anyway, Don Cornelius was a real pioneer, and I'm pretty sure he's passed away at this point. But I just learned a little bit about him, knowing that what he was up against, because he brought his idea of Soul Train to a lot of executives, and they just turned him down, one left and right, and eventually he was able to get it happening, and it became this big, huge thing. So you go, Don Cornelius. And I think it was in his 30s when he did it. So, it's not like he was this young punk or came out and do it. He had a vision, and he knew that it was never too late to be great. And the crowd went wild for Don Cornelius. Anyway, I am writing a song. I came up with this idea that I'm going to write a song every week. Well, let me take that back. I'm going to play a new song every week. Now, that'll either be a new song that I wrote over the past week, which I'm going to try to do a little bit of right now because I've been writing this song. I'll tell you about it. Or maybe I'll learn somebody else's song and I will play that. But every week, because I'm finding that as I do these Sunday with Silvers, it's giving me a lot of, it's stirring up the creative juices, and it's causing me to write more songs. So I'm grateful for that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me a reason to be here. And if you have any, any requests, either songs that you like from the 70s, I'm not big on the 80s and 90s, but whatever, if it's a song you like and you want to hear it, let me know, and I will do my best to learn it and play it. Or if it's a song of mine, I was playing last night, and a good friend of mine who came to the show when I was sitting in with my friend Faith and Tom, my friends Faith and Tom, I got a request for one of my own songs. Unfortunately, we got shut down because the restaurant we were playing in didn't have a permit for music, so we got shut down before I got a chance to play it. It's a song called Roses. Maybe I should play it. Yeah, I'll play Roses. Hey, that gives me a good idea. Okay, so Roses is a song that I was going to play for Reverend Joanne last night. And it's a song I wrote when I was pulling weeds in a house that I bought. And I bought it with money that my dad left me after he passed away. But my dad was an architect, and anytime he would visit us before he passed away, we would always have to have him come over to a small apartment where we were living at the time. And, he was cordial about it and everything, but I knew how much it was important to him to have a beautiful space to live in. And I didn't have the money to buy a house in Los Angeles at that time. But when he passed away, I was able to make that happen. But then I was in the house and he was no longer around to come and enjoy it. By the way, I've got my Christmas pick here. My red Christmas pick. So as I was living in this house that I bought with money largely that my dad left me upon his passing, I was pulling weeds out of the driveway. There were cracks in the driveway, and I never realized that weeds grew out of cracks in driveways because I never had a driveway. So I'm pulling it out, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I really wish my dad was here so he could enjoy this house with us. And it was, it was kind of melancholy and everything. But then I started thinking, well, what if there were roses growing out of the cracks in this driveway? That would be a much more kind of uplifting experience. So I went in the house and I wrote this song called Roses, and it goes like this. There are roses growing where my heart has been cracked open. There are roses growing where I thought that I was broken. There are roses nurtured by the light within my soul, flourishing beyond all my control, and blooming for the beauty of it all. There are roses growing where I thought my life was shattered. There are roses growing where I thought that nothing mattered. There are roses growing in the place I used to hide, showing me that love can't be denied, reflecting all the beauty that's inside. I see roses growing in the wake of devastation. I see roses in everyone and every situation. I see roses, 'cause roses are what I am looking for. And though I know they've been here long before, the more I look to see them, I see more roses. That's Roses. And yeah, I was going to play that last night, but I didn't get a chance to do it. And, that song says, I see roses growing in the wake of devastation. I see roses in everyone and every situation. I see roses 'cause roses are what I'm looking for. And though I know they've been here long before, the more I look to see them, I see more roses. The reason I repeat that last verse and speak it out is because I just heard today about some really tragic event that happened in Australia within the last 24 hours, where a number of people were killed, Jewish people apparently, in Australia, I'm pretty sure. And if I'm wrong about that, I apologize. But quite a few people wounded and quite a few people murdered. Um, and I sing songs about love. I sing songs about caring about each other, and this broadcast will always be about that. It'll always be about that. Yeah, because I have a choice as to what I want to talk about, and that's what I want to talk about, and you can't stop me. So don't try. And if you don't want to hear about love and talk about love and be about love, then maybe this is not for you. But if that speaks to you, then I'm going to keep speaking it, because to me, it's where we live. It's where we need to be and where we need to stay, is in love with ourselves, with each other, and consistently bring that love forth in our actions. And so when I hear stuff like what happened apparently today, that I don't know the details of, but my wife told me about it, so I'm sure that she's accurate that this occurred. And it's hard to imagine that kind of devastating violence and still sing about love. And but what option do we have? I mean, we have to try to bring people to that place where there's not a lot of division and a lot more togetherness. And I know it sounds simple, and I was thinking about political leaders and stuff, how in order to get people to rally behind them, and I'm not just talking about the United States, and I may not know what I'm talking about at all, because I'm not a super educated political person. I don't say that proudly or lack of pride. Just kind of the truth. But I do I had this thought today that it's possible that, and I'm not saying I created this idea myself, but this thought that it's possible that leaders of countries want to create enemies because they can rally their own people around them, the leader, and keep in power by having everybody focus on some enemy and killing or fighting, or, well, fighting is killing, right? Killing that enemy and destroying that enemy. And so I don't know how much it gets propagated by the desire of people in power to stay in power by keeping everybody focused on this enemy. But let's try to figure it out, guys and gals, because life is precious. I was having a conversation with somebody who's incarcerated, because if you probably know that if you've been on this live stream with me before, you probably are aware that I work in the prison system a couple times a week now, with young incarcerated men, typically from anywhere age from 16 to 20 or so, maybe. They're in there for major crimes and stuff. And I was talking to one young man recently about what he wanted to do when he got out of there, and what he wanted his life to be like. Hopefully, with the intention of sharing with him some ideas, maybe, or helping him come up with some ideas of how he could live his life differently, so that he doesn't end up back there again. And this is a young man who's only so open to what I have to share. I mean, he's not violent toward me or anything, but he's also doesn't necessarily want to be introspective and think about his life in the ways that I am there to challenge these young people to do. And so when I asked him what he wanted to do, what his plan was for his life, he said that he wanted to be a drug lord. And at first I thought he was kidding, because that's not the kind of thing I've ever heard anybody say that they aspire to. But then he kind of mentioned, that's the kind of financially well-off people that he grew up knowing existed, where people, maybe, I'm not sure if he grew up in Nicaragua or some place where where there was a lot of that kind of activity going on in his environment, but that's what he aspired to. And so I said, well, why would you want to do that? And he said, because I make a lot of money. I said, well, do you think that there's a possibility that it could maybe not work out? And he said, yeah, I could end up back in jail, or I could end up dead. And I said, yeah, and then also, if you were to have a lot of money, but you would also, I don't know that you could really, deep inside, really appreciate your life if you knew that you were causing this, the deaths and the destruction of lives with the drugs. And he said, well, I wouldn't be selling the drugs. And I said, well, yeah, but you would be making sure they were there to be sold. So on some level, you would have some connection to it, a big level. And I said, isn't there something that you might consider that was legal that you could do? And he said, well, it's not illegal if you don't get caught. I thought to myself, wow, that's a Trumpism if I ever heard one before. If you don't get caught, it's not illegal. I mean, not that Trump would come straight out and say that, but it's kind of a mode of operation, right? So, and once again, I'm not trying to turn this into a political conversation, but I am saying that this young man was serious. And so I started thinking about it, and I don't know if I'll ever have any chance at really helping him to see another option for his life. I could maybe talk to him till I was blue in the face about it, and wouldn't necessarily change his desire. Sorry, I'm going to rip a piece of paper here. I don't know how loud that was for you. Hopefully not too bad. But I started writing a song about it, and that's kind of what happens for me when something kind of sticks with me. I can write a song 10 years later, 15 years later, 20, 30 years later, or 5 days later, or not write one at all. But this started to come out, and it's totally a work in progress. I'll try it. You say you want to be a drug lord. You want to make a lot of money. You want to have a lot of guns to control everybody. You think that that would make you happy. You think that that would make you great. But deep down in your heart, you'd be carrying the weight of all the people hooked on drugs, all the ones who became thugs, all the families who lost the ones they loved. You say you want to be a drug lord. You think that's appealing. You want to have a pile of money up to the ceiling. You think that that'll make you cool. You think that will make you great. But deep in your soul, you'd be carrying the weight of all the people hooked on pills. Chasing, of all the people hooked on pills, shooting up and chasing thrills. Also, you could pay your bills today. You wanna be a drug lord. You say you wanna be a drug lord. Why do you wanna be a drug lord? that's kind of what I'm looking at as a song. I don't think I would ever play it for him because it might upset him. Maybe I'll play it for him. I don't know. It's always a little risky to get too much in somebody's face about their choices and what they think is right and wrong. But I had to write the song because it was deep in me, like wanting to just kind of go, wake up. Please wake up. Wake up. We don't need any more drug lords. We don't need, we need people who recognize. But here's the thing: is that I know it sounds like judgment of this young man. I understand that people do what they need to survive, and if this is all that this young man feels is possible, then that's the opportunity he's going to see. So my goal is to help him see that there are other possibilities for him, that he actually has value as a human being, and he can do something with his life that is not only intended to help himself, but also intended to help others. And I've heard it said by someone that I'm sure you've heard this before, that the best way to help yourself is to help somebody else, or something, and probably paraphrasing. But I truly believe that. I mean, I know that for me, if happiness is an inside job, meaning that, yeah, you can have all the diamonds and furs and Cadillacs or whatever. Cadillac's not necessarily the thing these days, but, diamonds and furs and furs are probably not even the thing. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. You can have everything. You can have the PlayStations and the plasma TVs and the yachts and the this and the that and the other, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, but you could still be unhappy and have all of those things, because happiness comes from within. And so I just feel like if I can have any effect on any of these young people, it's just to have them know that. I was even talking about how writing assignments that I can give them that will maybe help them open up a little bit into their other possibilities, and to learn more about how they feel about themselves. And one of the questions that mentor of mine, Akuyo Graham, mentioned was to ask them to write on the topic of what was it now? I forgot. How can I be free? What can I do? Something to that extent. What can I do to be more free? Like a New Year's kind of thing. Like, hey guys, what do you think? And that's a heck of a question to ask somebody who's incarcerated, especially a 16, 17-year-old. Because, at 16, 17, we think that what's going on now is kind of the only thing that exists, because it's all we've experienced. And so, yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling on here a little bit. I'm going to tell you a story about dancing. When I was a kid, I don't know if I told you this before. I might have mentioned this last week. If it did, I apologize. But it stuck in me a little bit. I wrote a song which I'll play for you fairly soon, and it's a song about an experience of being pulled off a dance floor by somebody who's a friend of mine because I was dancing by myself. Let me give you the actual story. So I was 14 years old, maybe 15, and I was too young for a high school dance, but one of my buddies and his brother were going to the high school dance in their neighborhood at Eagle Rock High School in Los Angeles. And so I decided, and this is the 1970s, it was probably, I must have been, if I was 15, it was like 70, let me do my math here. Why am I so bad at math all of a sudden? 75? Would that have been? No. 77 or 70, 77 probably, 76 or 77. And I was loved to dance. And so we went to this dance, but I wasn't really old enough to be there. I was still in junior high, and these were high school and there were going to be high school girls there. So I was really like, oh boy, this is exciting and scary at the same time. So we go and we get into this dance, and it's in this big gymnasium where I guess they still hold high school dances in gymnasiums, but they're not the best place for dances because the ceilings are so high and the sound goes everywhere and it's just echoing. But we get there and nobody's dancing. And it's a big, a basketball court with nobody on it. And everybody's standing along the sides of the walls because they're all too shy to dance. So this goes on for about 20 minutes, and I'm starting to get really like antsy because I want to go dance. I want to have fun. And so they start playing a song by Marvin Gaye. I want you and you want me. So why don't we get together after the dance? Oh man, I love that song. It came on and I was like, that's my jam. I mean, we didn't say that back then, but I'm like, that's my jam. So I jump out on the dance floor. I don't know if I ran out there, but I probably just walked because I was probably like, oh boy, am I really doing this? I walk out in the middle of this gymnasium. Nobody's on the floor, and I start dancing to that song. And I'm having a blast. I'm dancing around and just, do. And all of a sudden I feel somebody grab me, and I turn around and it's one of the two guys that I came with, these brothers, Kevin. Kevin grabs me by the shirt and drags me off of the dance floor. And as he's dragging me, I'm saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Or maybe once we got back to the side again. And he said, because I had to save you from making a fool of yourself. And I was so pissed off. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we've been here for half an hour. It's the first fun I've had the whole time. I was having a blast, and you dragged me off the dance floor? What's wrong with you? And so I was pissed off, And but because I went out on the dance floor, now everybody had courage to do it. So before you know it, the next song, you see people start to trickle out, and before you know it, two songs in, the dance floor is full of kids and they're dancing. They just need somebody to be courageous enough to break the ice. And so 2 songs go by, and the DJ, or a few songs go by, and the DJ announces that there's going to be a dance contest. And I'm thinking, wow, that's cool, a dance contest. Didn't expect that. And so the head cheerleader, 12th grader, beautiful blonde girl, walks up to me and says, I saw you dancing. Will you be my dance partner for the dance contest? Oh, man. So we go out on the dance floor together. I don't even know her. But I think she figured if she danced with me, she had a good chance of winning. And so we danced, and they started eliminating people. They got to the final, dance song or whatever. And it was Play That Funky Music, White Boy by Wild Cherry. Play that funky music, white boy. Play that funky music right. Yeah. Play that funky music, white boy. Lay down the boogie and wear that funky music till you die. Till you die. Oh God, I loved it, right? So we're jamming, dancing, me and this high school cheerleader girl, and they announced the winner, and it's us, and we won the dance contest. So that just goes to show you, follow your heart. Don't let anybody tell you what's right for you. If I hadn't gone out there on the floor, she would have never seen me dance. She would have never come up to me, and it would have never, I wouldn't have had that great story to tell today. And what's really cool about it is that I mentioned that to my cousin's husband. I don't know what that makes him by marriage, but anyway, he's a relative of mine by marriage. And he happened to be at that dance. He doesn't remember that necessarily. I don't know that he was at that dance, but he went to Eagle Rock High School, and he has the yearbook from that year. And so I'm going to see him this Christmas. I need to give him a call and ask him if he can bring the yearbook with him, because I want to look up the head cheerleader and see if I can figure out, because I'm sure, if she's the head cheerleader, her picture is going to be in the yearbook. And so I'd like him to bring it so that I can try to find who the head cheerleader was, and then hopefully I can find her. You know, the magic of you know, Facebook or whatever, these different ways that we can find each other these days. And I just want to just reach out and say, hey, I don't know if you remember. I mean, if you won the high school, you know, if you won the high school dance contest, I have a feeling it's the kind of thing you probably wouldn't forget, especially if you won with some little kid with an afro this big. Because I had a huge afro at the time. Maybe next week I'll bring you guys a picture of me with an afro. I guess my hair would still kind of grow like that if I would let it, but I don't know if I would. Yeah, I might. Anyway, that being said, I'm thinking of getting one of those red light caps because I'm starting to get a little bit of thinning here and, you know, here. I think I'm doing okay for 63, but you know, I'd like to keep my hair, and I heard these red light caps work, but they're so damn expensive. So I don't know. If anybody has any experience with one, let me know, because they seem pretty simple. You just put it on and wear it for about 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day, and it just shoots lasers into your head. And you either become an alien or your hair grows, one or the other. I think either one would be cool. I'd be like, take me to your leader. Oh, gosh. All right. What else can I tell you? Oh, I'm going to sing you guys well, sing it? I'm going to sing it. A little Christmas song. So I've been writing songs for years, as you probably know. And this one is a song called Hey, Hey, Santa. I played it last night as well. It goes like this. Hey, hey, Santa, I'm your biggest fan. Hey, hey, Santa, I think you're the man. And I got a plan now, Santa, that I want you to hear. See, I don't like seeing you, Santa, only one time a year. So when it is the month of July, why don't you get on your sled and fly? Come on down to my house, Santa, for the 4th of July. Ha! We'll have some cornbread, black-eyed peas, and some sweet potato pie. There's no need to use the chimney, you can walk right through the door. Head out to the backyard for a barbecue galore. Come on down to my house, Santa, for the 4th of July. Hey, hey, Santa, bring your wife along. Bring the elves and all the reindeer, and we'll have a sing-along. But don't forget your bathing suit, we're gonna have a poolside bash. I can't wait to see your cannonball, bet it's gonna be a splash. So when it is the month of July, why don't you get on your sled and fly? Come on down to my house, Santa, for the 4th of July. Hey, hey, Santa, I can't wait till you get here. It will be so great to see you in the middle of the year. Don't you be late now, Santa, we're gonna have a fireworks show. And I would hate to see you up there when those things begin to blow. Ha. So when it is the month of July, why don't you get on your sled and fly? Come on down to my house, Santa, for the 4th of July. We'll have some cornbread, black-eyed peas, and some sweet potato pie. There's no need to use the chimney, you can walk right through the door. Head out to the backyard for a barbecue galore. Come on down to my house, Santa. Said, come on down to my house, Santa. Come on down to my house, Santa, for the 4th of July. Come on down, Santa. All right. Yeah. I think that my music, well, I'm mixed racially, so I try to bring a lot of different flavors to it, because it's basically folk music. It's just me and my guitar, and it's an acoustic guitar. I'm not like wailing like Jimmy on the on the electric, although I'd like to. I have an electric, but I never play it. I always tell myself someday I will, but you know what? It's never too late, never too late, never too late to be great. And the crowd goes wild. Yeah, maybe I'll learn. I say maybe, yeah. Anytime you say maybe, you're probably not going to. But I would love to learn to play, electric or just play lead and stuff, especially Spanish style. Oh my gosh, how beautiful is that? Listening to some beautiful Spanish style music, classical, the other day. And there's a great artist from the 70s named Al Stewart. He has an album. I don't know if the album's called The Year of the Cat, but there's a song called The Year of the Cat. On a morning from a on the morning from a Bogart movie, in a country where they turn back time, you go strolling through the park like Peter Lorre contemplating a crime. Great lines. Anyway, great opening to a song. But there's do 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 do. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous Spanish style guitar, and then there's a great saxophone in that song too. If you haven't heard it, or if you haven't heard it for years, take a listen to it again. It's called The Year of the Cat, and sometimes I want to see online if people are still playing, and a lot of times they are, but they're just so old now that you're like, oh, maybe you should hang it up, buddy. Oh, hopefully I'm not at that point yet. When I get there, send me a message and let me know. But I still love Al Stewart. I love that. I love that music, and love Spanish style guitar. Anyway, so I'm gonna tell you a little Christmas story. I'm on to Christmas today. Maybe it's because Christmas is coming up, but when I was in the prison the other day, I decided to try to tell them a story, and it was probably stupid of me to try, because I had to play the part of a 10-year-old boy to do the song. It's a song that I wrote, which I'm not going to try to play on the guitar because I never really knew how to play it. I wrote the melody and the lyrics, and I actually had my daughter sing it. We did a recording of it with my buddy from the Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa's group. Why am I blanking on his name now? I hope he's not listening. Maybe he is listening. Don Preston, sweetheart of a guy. And Don, he's from my neighborhood, and we kind of hung in the same area for many years. And so he was kind enough to write some music. He's the keyboard player. They now call themselves the Grandmothers, and they tour all over the world, especially in Europe, and they're very popular. But he, for many years was Frank Zappa's keyboard player in the Mothers of Invention. And so because he's a friend of mine, he kindly agreed to play this song that I had written and have my daughter sing it, and he recorded it. And my daughter was very young, so it was hard for her to do because it's very wordy. But I'm gonna tell you it because it's a poem in the form of a song, which I think a lot of my songs could be if I just spoke them instead. So I'm going to speak this this poem to you. It's a Christmas poem, and it's in the voice of an 8 to 10 year old boy, and it was written kind of in the vein of a song like "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer," mixed with like "Hello Mudda, Hello Fada, Here I Am from Camp Granada." Which, if you grew up in the '70s and were in Los Angeles, you probably knew of a guy named Dr. Demento. He might have been in more than one, probably not just in Los Angeles, but he would play these goofy, silly songs. Al Yankovic kind of songs, or Yankovic, I don't know how he pronounces his name. Anyway, it was before Al Yankovic. It was like, these old time, really goofy songs, My Ding-a-Ling by Chuck Berry, and, any number of goofy songs. And I loved it, because I write a lot of goofy songs, as well as hopefully some pretty songs, meaningful. But I like to write all kinds of stuff. And where was I going with this? Yeah, so I'm going to speak this song only because I never really learned how to play it. And I could sing it a cappella, but I'm going to do it as a poem. So here it is. It's in the voice of a 10-year-old boy, and I did this in the prison in front of these young, teenage guys, and I don't know what got in my head why I thought I could pull that off, but some of them enjoyed it. Anyway, it goes like this. It goes, I got to think of a 10-year-old. Okay, here we go. Every year I waited up for Santa, and every time I fell asleep too soon. Once I heard the jingle of his sleigh bells, and once I saw him fly across the moon. This year, I have really got to meet him. This time it's important even more, 'cause there's something I've really got to give him. A thing that he had given me the year before. You see, I'm giving back the goldfish Santa gave to me last year. I found it floating belly up in Uncle Jimmy's beer. It never even made it to the countdown of New Year, so I'm giving back the goldfish that Santa gave to me last year. When I found my fishy, it was headed south, so I grabbed it by the little gills and gave it mouth to mouth. But though I huffed and puffed and blowed in all my desperation, it would not revive with artificial respiration. When Uncle Jimmy sobered up and learned what he had done, he felt so bad he offered to buy me another one. But I said no, because I knew when Santa came to town, somehow he would know the fish he'd given me had drowned. And so I'm giving back the goldfish Santa gave to me last year. I found it floating belly up in Uncle Jimmy's beer. It never even made it to the countdown of New Year, so I'm giving back the goldfish that Santa gave to me last year. Let me see. Where's the rest of this? Oh, okay. And so I put my fishy in a drawer by my bed. And much to my horror, it stunk when it was dead. My mother tried to flush it, but the tears came to my eyes, so she put it in the freezer underneath the frozen chicken pies. Bleary-eyed, I woke up when the cuckoo clock struck 3. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. And there he was, old Santa, standing by the Christmas tree. I must have been asleep when he came down the chimney. He reached into his bag of gifts and handed one to me. And this is when the miracle of Christmas settled in. It was a jar of water with a brand new goldfish friend. I ran into the kitchen to retrieve the frozen one, got back to the living room, but Santa Claus was gone. Every year I waited up for Santa, and every time I fell asleep too soon. Once I heard the jingle of his sleigh bells, and once I saw him fly across the moon. This is the year I finally got to meet him, though he hurried off and didn't say goodbye. And yet, Somehow it seems I've always known him. I think he had my Uncle Jimmy's eyes. Yeah, somehow it seems I've always known him. He kind of had my Uncle Jimmy's eyes. Yeah, good old Uncle Jimmy. I don't know if I did that in the order that it was written, but you get the picture. All right, folks. It's been great hanging out with you. Hope you enjoyed this. I did. I always love coming on here and sharing some stuff with you. Hope you could hear me okay. And I'm wishing you all a beautiful time. Maybe you have some opportunity to spend some time with family members over the next week or two, possibly with friends, sharing some eggnog and giving each other a kiss under the mistletoe. Or maybe you don't celebrate Christmas, you celebrate Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or none of it. Either way, wishing you all a beautiful time. And yeah, I ain't got much more to say other than let's be good to each other. Not just now during this holiday season, but all the time. I'm sure I'll think of something that I meant to say to you as soon as I shut this whole thing down. But I promise. Oh, I know. I almost forgot. The accountability corner. I put myself in the accountability corner every single week. And I share with you something that I said I was going to do last week and let you know whether I did it. And also give you something else that I'm going to be accountable for this week. And last week I said that I was going to be accountable for getting in touch with some more agents and letting them know I exist and letting them know that I would like to talk to them about possible representation. Did I do that? No. Why not? I don't know. I did. Oh wow, that was hard. Be nicer to yourself, John. I didn't do it, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I was incredibly busy. I worked more than usual in the prisons and worked more than usual just in general at other things. So back into the accountability corner, reaching out. There's an opportunity for me to put a notice on Actors Access where I apply for possible, or I submit for possible auditions. There's a way that I can pay, I don't know, $10 or whatever for $20 or whatever, and it'll give me an opportunity to let the agents that are on that website know that I'm seeking representation. And I've never done it before, so why not? I'll do that. Boom, accountability. I'm going to do that between now and this time next week. And I'm going to finish writing this song. Well, you know what? I don't know if it'll be the Drug Lord song that I played for you earlier, if I finish that, or maybe it's done and I'm not going to write any more on it. I don't know. But there'll be a new song, either the finish of this one or a brand new one or a song somebody else wrote. And that will be what I share with you next week. So that's another accountability corner. And last but not least, my daughter gave me this book. It's the Book of Unusual Knowledge, and location. Because, no, I'm not going to read that. Next week, I'll pick something out of here to read to you, because it'll be fun to read something out of here. You'll learn a lot of useless information that's interesting. Flubbed headlines. Enraged cow injures farmer with axe. Okay, these are flubbed headlines. Killer sentenced to die for second time in 10 years. Okay. On that note, love to you all.